Good afternoon, grade 12s, and welcome to your LO lesson for today. My name is Kuleni Zika, and I am your LO tutor for the duration of the lockdown. On the screen are my contact details, which is my email address. You're welcome to email me with regards to anything that you want to speak about with regards to LO. And my email address is at lutikaling@yahoo.com. So it's everything in small letters. Lutika is my surname, Ling is my name, and it is at yahoo.com. That is where you can get me. So welcome everybody to the class for 12. You're welcome to participate and take part in the lesson, and then you're welcome to raise your hand. I will meet you, and then you're also welcome to go into the chat box and give me your comments. I'll read them out and tell me what you think. So today we're doing chapter 5, unit 3, and it's on financial and social viability of entrepreneurship and other employment options. So today basically we're going to carry on with the theme. Remember we did unemployment, then we did the alternatives, how to counteract, how to counter react unemployment. So we gave all the different things that you can do, like volunteering, community work. We also did informal jobs and formal jobs, so all the things that you can do, part-time jobs, all the things that you can do to counter unemployment. So today we're doing the financial and social viability of entrepreneurship and other employment options. So the lesson objective for today is that you know the financial and social viability of entrepreneurship and other
Good afternoon,
employment
ma'am.
options. Yes,
How are you?
I am good, and how are you?
I'm fine.
Yes, you can speak to me. You just wanted to greet me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that is fine. Thank you and welcome to the class. All right. So we can go on to our first slide. We can go on to our first slide for the day. Entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is another form of employment option, and it may be the best way to earn money. So we did describe entrepreneurship in yesterday's lesson. So it is the activity of setting up a business or businesses, taking on financial risk in hope of profits. So we did say that if you're going to enter into an entrepreneurship, you are willing to take a risk to start a business. You're willing to take money that you have saved or money that you have put away in order to start a business, whether you said you could be selling muffins for a startup so that you can go into your main business. And you could also be selling food or t-shirts or starting a brand. Everybody's starting a brand of t-shirts, caps, and sweaters, whatever you really could be doing. So it also refers to the concept of developing and managing a business venture in order to gain profit by taking several risks in the corporate world. So you could also be a partner, maybe if you are a salesperson. You're also given the opportunity to sell the product and be independent. in your selling. I know some companies will tell you that after if you sell 500 products, then we will give you maybe an opportunity to open your own brand. So then you become the owner of your business and you will fall underneath that corporate, but you will be also be recognized as an entrepreneur. So simply put, entrepreneurship is the willingness to start a new business. And yeah, it's the willingness to start a new business. So remember, it is an alternative to employment. And then an entrepreneur is someone who is willing to work for himself and by himself. So you're working for yourself and by yourself. You might not have any workers to start off because starting off you won't even have maybe enough money to pay employees. So you have to make profit first and then go see how your business goes. And as it grows and you sell more products, then you need more hands. Then you can employ people. So maybe in the initial stages of the business, you will have to go make your product on your own, do the running around and dropping it off by yourself. And then maybe you also have to be willing to market it yourself. So maybe you can market it through social media. These days we are lucky. Unlike the olden days where people used to have to pay millions of rands or couldn't go into business because they couldn't afford to market their businesses against the big businesses because you'd have to market on radio or on newspaper or on TV or magazines, which would mean that you have to pay a lot of money. So lots of businesses were closed out because they simply couldn't afford to pay for advertising. So now it is much better. You can open a business Facebook account and have everyone like your page. And then you can also go on Instagram and show everyone your products. You take nice photos of the hair fiber that you're selling, the nails that you put on. Ladies, I know you do the makeup and makeup tutorials, what we see now, and you can put photos of your food or of your brand and whatever it is on Instagram. You can take small videos and put them on Snapchat, and your business can own a Twitter account. So there are many ways that you can market your products, and you can also do activations and go to the flea market and start selling your products. So as an entrepreneur, you are a person who might have to go about it alone for some time until you are able to move on and be able to hire more people. So the more jobs that are created, the better for everyone. So entrepreneurship is also like an opportunity for us to create more jobs. So you aren't just seeking employment, you're also creating employment for other people once you've started. So we cannot expect the government to provide all the jobs. Each citizen has to try and create jobs and work opportunities for others. I think the best way to explain this is just being economically active and participate in the market. So when you're economically active, you try to sell things. You're not just waiting for the government to give you employment. You're looking for a gap in the market. Like I did say, if there's no internet cafe where you live, and you can see that people are struggling to maybe do photocopies, and people are struggling to have access to the internet. Maybe you're in um an area where people can't really afford smartphones, so they do not really have access to Wi-Fi. So what you do is you can provide the service instead of waiting maybe for the government to come, which, all right, they will come eventually, and it is the government's duty to provide services. but you can also participate and just be active in the economy. And you are also going to have money in your pocket for doing so. So it's not just like you're volunteering. And again, you can grow in terms of skill. Once you started, if you go about it for 1, 2 years, you will gain experience and learn new things about that area of work. So we live in a country where formal jobs are scarce, but where there are many opportunities in the informal sector. So I'm sure you've seen hawkers on the road. If you go to town, there are always women and gentlemen selling vegetables, and some are selling small products like maybe socks, hats, sunglasses. So the informal market is big. There are lots of people. It turns over millions of rands a year. So there are lots of people who are trading on the street, whether they're selling boiled eggs or whether they're cooking food on the side of the road and maybe feeding the taxi drivers and the truck drivers that pass in the area. So the informal sector is big. And if those people weren't sitting out there selling, whether they're selling corn, uh, burnt corn, or what is it, dried corn, corn knops, that is, or whatever it is, they're selling foods or they are baking cakes and selling. If they weren't doing that, then where would they be getting the little income that they are getting now? So it is a big sector and it does have um, lots of money in it. So it is something that you could look at. And then let's move on to the next slide, which is on SARS and tax obligations. So it's South African revenue. So yes, for tax, they're collecting tax. Income tax is the government's main source of income. So everybody's taxes collected is what the country makes basically and what the country will use to be able to run its other departments and run social services. So income tax is levied on all income and profits received by taxpayers. Excuse me. So this includes companies and trusts. So every company that is operating in South Africa has to pay tax, and the different trusts for people who have formed trusts, and then it is every citizen's duty to pay tax. So tax exclusions maybe are for people who are earning less than a certain amount. And maybe if you're earning, like they say, I'm not sure, it's like over, I think 60 something thousand rand, then you are liable. Yeah, excuse me, then you're liable for paying tax. So SARS requires all those receiving any form of employment income, including those below the tax threshold, to be registered with SARS to help reduce non-compliance or tax dodging. So even if you're below the amount that they expect you to start paying tax for, you should submit tax papers. If your employee is going to put a salary in your bank account, you must have a tax number. And it's not to say that you will be taxed. They'll only tax you after your salary is a certain amount per annum, but you will have a tax number so that they can track the money that comes in. Once you're making a certain amount of money, they're going to see that this person is getting paid and they are not paying tax. So it's just to check on the compliance and people who are dodging tax. So people who are going on for months or even years without paying their tax. So even entrepreneurs and informal traders pay tax. So entrepreneurs are our businessmen. They also do pay taxes from their businesses. So let's move on to the next slide. It's on the impact of corruption. So we're going to move on to the next slide. The impact, there it is, the impact of corruption and fraud on the individual, company, community, and country. So we're going to look at the impact of corruption and fraud on the individual, on people themselves, on companies, communities, and the country. So corruption and fraud are ways of getting money, privileges, and power dishonestly. Corruption is the misuse of public power and money to private benefit. It is the abuse of public office for private gain. Fraud is getting money by cheating, stealing, or dishonest deals. So basically, it's gift giving when you go take someone out for lunch and then you go and discuss how you want the job, and then maybe you offer them a certain percentage of your salary for the first 6 months. And then also it's just maybe upfront paying for the job, the HR manager. So you are just gonna go ahead and pay for your position there. And then it's getting money by defrauding. So you are maybe given a budget of 60,000 rand to run a certain deal or to do a certain project. Then you run the project for 30,000 rand, and then you put the rest of the 30,000 rand, the other half, into your bank account. And then dishonest dealings can also be like having to distribute food parcels, and then you take them and you give them to your family members and your friends, and you don't give them to people who need the essentials. So it's just dishonest feelings. It might not be money, it might just be food and washing powder and whatever is in the package, but you're not doing things according to the way it should be done. You're not going according to the list that was provided of people who put their names down and said that they are in need of these food parcels or these services. So, corruption is the enemy of self improvement, nation building, service delivery, and good governance. So, you cannot improve as a person when you're corrupt, because you're going to go into a position that you are not qualified for. That's why you find that someone goes into a job that requires reporting and writing reports, and then you find that they're not literate, then they end up paying someone else to do the job for them whilst they sit in the office and maybe um, chat on WhatsApp and interact with people on Facebook and see what's trending on Twitter. So basically, you are missing out on the opportunity to improve yourself because someone else is doing the job for you. You aren't even learning on the job, and maybe you could go to school and go and learn the trades and then come back with the skills and then apply for a job. So you're just gonna sit there in that office and not learn anything. So you're missing out on the opportunity to improve yourself. Even maybe when you get a tender and you know nothing about running whatever it is, let's say you have to build houses, small houses, and you just bid for the tender, you win it dishonestly, then now you're going to hire someone who's worked in construction to come and help you out. So then you just take the money, and basically what you do is you start spending it and you don't even care to learn about construction. you're just there not gaining any experience at all. You don't even care to learn, so you're missing out on self improvement. So, nation building, we also miss out on nation building because when we are corrupt, we aren't able to build the workforce that we need to work on. Our economy doesn't grow the way that we want it to grow because we're stealing money from the government coffers. So, we aren't able to grow. And maybe the reason why we're not able to grow the way we want is that money that has been allocated for certain services ends up not being used for that, but it goes into people's pockets who will actually now spend it on buying expensive cars and whatever. So service delivery too. So money that is supposed to go to providing basic services, maybe for paving the roads or for filling potholes, building a bridge in the community ends up because of corruption and fraud in someone's pockets who does not deliver, and then communities don't get their basic services. And then good governance is affected when there's corruption and when there is fraud and ill governance because you can't manage anything properly if you're being dishonest, you are losing out, you're not competent, and you're not going to be efficient in your work. So you're not going to be able to work and a good government. So forms of corrupt behavior include bribery. Yes, we moved on to the slide that says forms of corrupt behavior. So it's forms of corrupt behavior. Forms of corrupt behavior include bribery, paying for an illegal favor. We just discussed that. So you will be asking someone to put you through a job or to give you a tender. And then basically also what you'll be doing is maybe you could just be going to offer someone, not even, doesn't have to be money, it could also be lunch or to pay for their children's school fees because their children go to the same school, or you could offer them anything, maybe another house that you have. And then influence peddling, the illegal practice of using one's influence in government or connections with persons in authority to receive information or benefits. So it's like being an informant. You're the one who gives out the information before it's supposed to go out. So before they advertise posts, you're already gearing someone up for the post. So you're already preparing people to line up for the post, and then you're giving information basically that you shouldn't be giving. And then you use your influence to be able to influence the interviewing process, who gets hired or who gets the tender. You are influential. You maybe you're high in the government and you have influence over whatever that happens in your department. So you are going to put in a word for someone, and then they will obviously benefit from the information or from your authority being someone who's in charge over there. Stealing public resources, which is what what belongs to other people or to yourself. So, stealing public resources can also be whatever you're working with. You're not supposed to take it, whether you're working with petty cash to buy stationery, can't steal the stationery that you bought if there are too many pens. Now you're going to take the pens. If you're working with furniture, you can't be stealing chairs if you're working. in the catering department, you can't be stealing the cutlery or whatever. It's petty things like that, but those things do have an effect on the the resources and the money. Nepotism and cronyism, the appointment of family or friends to positions of authority regardless of their qualifications. So this is hiring your aunt or your cousin, and it's not a family business. It's not a Litika and partners. So you are maybe in the government or in the private sector, and instead of advertising the post, you are then now hiring your sister or someone that you know so that they can get the job instead of giving someone that is qualified. And sometimes you find that the person that you're hiring is not qualified for the job, so they end up they're redundant, and people aren't getting their services that are due to them, because now there is this person sitting here who is not qualified and doesn't know how to do the job. So, favoritism, giving special treatment or favors to those who do not deserve them. So, you've got your favorite there in the office. Your favorite has done nothing to improve themselves. They've been sitting in the office not studying further, but because they are your friend, when an opportunity comes for someone to move higher or someone to be hired in a managerial position, you now pick this person, your favorite person in the office, someone that shares lunch with you, that you go and eat lunch with during the break. So, someone you have something in common with, maybe you're both fans, Manchester United fans, or maybe you share like other interests, other business interests. So this person is your favorite person, is your close friend. So you just gonna give them a favor. And then extortion, obtaining money or favors through force or threats. So this is like blackmailing, like saying if you don't give me the job, then maybe you've got something personal on them, you've got something personal on them or something from their past, and you will say that if you don't give me the job, then maybe I will tell on you about why you were fired from your previous job, and maybe you know that you didn't really declare or tell your current employer what the reason for leaving your previous job was. So it is something like that. So let's look at the next slide, which is on the impact of corruption. So we're going to the slide on the impact of corruption on individuals. So corruption affects the poor individual the most. It makes poor people feel powerless and cheated on. It is easy to lose hope when there is corruption because unfair advantages are given to those who can pay. So it does cause despair. Like, I think in the country, it has caused a bit of despair because some people feel like we will never be able to get jobs because I don't have connections, and I don't know people in high places. I don't have the right connections, so we will never get jobs until we know someone who is inside. So it does make people who are vulnerable and who are poor feel like we will never get out of poverty. And money just goes to rich people. Rich people are the ones who continue to survive because they look out for one another and their family members. So money circulates between them, and we will never ever get out of poverty. So, looking at the next slide, which is the impact of corruption on companies. So, the impact of corruption on companies, corruption leads to people not trusting officials who take bribes from them. People within the company also start to mistrust one another. The company or government gets a bad name. People think that the only way to get services from that company is through corruption. Then the money could have been better spent on social responsibility programs. So it's like this belief that you can't get anything in the correct manner. So people don't trust officials too. So you don't know whether you're putting your CV in the right hands. You don't know whether the process is going to be fair or not when you apply. So you already think, okay, the department is not even going to give me a free chance, um, a full chance of the job. They might already know someone. And then you don't even trust your managers because you don't know what they're up to. And then you start mistrusting one another. We're at a point where you don't trust the next person unless if there's someone that you know. So you're always looking over your shoulder. And then the company or government gets a bad name. For instance, maybe as South Africa, we get to be known as the country where corruption and crime thrives. So then we have a bad name and we don't know how to shake it off. And then people that think the only way to get services from the company is through corruption. So you find that now it's a norm for someone to cover 2,000 rand. They know that if they don't do that, they probably won't get help. So even on the onset, people just come with that mindset to approach the company that we are only we have to bring a certain amount and then things will happen for us. So the money could be spent on other things. The money that is exchanging hands on corruption could be spent on other things. And then moving on to the next slide, the impact of corruption on communities. So the community is also affected. People may believe that the only way to access services, jobs, and opportunity is through bribery. So people don't know what to do anymore. If I want my tap fixed, maybe I should go pay someone that works in the water department. If we want our waste to be collected, then maybe we should bribe the person that drives the trucks and to come and collect our waste. So we as communities know that we don't have access to services, and we know that we most likely not gonna be able to get anything from our local government without giving bribes. So these are just examples. So I don't want you walking away thinking that everyone and everything is corrupt. There are still honest people out there and honest managers. So there are still honest processes that you can follow and that will be okay. So moving on to the impact of corruption on the country, which is the next slide. The impact of corruption on the country. Corruption has a negative effect on the country. This is because service delivery will not be at its best, so people will not be getting their services, so the lives of people won't be improved. Again, some of the basic services form part of human rights, like water and sanitation, people having toilets and stuff. That is part of their dignity and human rights. So if people in a country don't have toilets and have to go to the bush or to the river, then that is like a human rights violation. So the country will be looked at as a country that does not care for its people's human right? And then unemployment will be increased. So unemployment will be increased too, because sometimes there are ghost positions that are being filled where you find someone is getting paid two salaries, and instead of someone else being hired, there's one person being paid the salary for that person. So meaning there are less people who are being employed, but we're still spending the same amount of money on salaries. And then institutions will not develop, so we'll be missing the knowledge from the qualified people, the people who have studied. So we are going to find that we fall behind with that. So people won't improve. Our local economies won't improve because now we are even our national and our provincial departments won't improve because now there are a whole lot of people who really don't have experience and don't know what they're doing in these positions. So which will set us back with the development. And then income generation through taxes will be harmed, and donors and investors will not put their money in a country that is corrupt. So crime and corruption turns investors away. It's not attractive. No one wants to invest in a country where there is crime, and in a country where there's corruption. You don't want corrupt dealings in a country. So that is it for the day. Let's move on to the activity that you can do for yourself, which is on the next slide. Okay, Sincere, let me take your hands. Uh, let's do this. Uh-huh. Yes, you can speak to me. I can't see anymore. You can speak to me. Did I mute you? Uh, there we go. Yes, you can speak to me. Uh, okay, I'm struggling to unmute you. I don't know why I'm
Can you hear
struggling
me?
to. Okay, yes, now I can hear you. Yes, I can
It's
hear you. Uh-huh. Yes, I've lost you again. Okay, I seem to have lost you. Do you maybe want to write something for me in the chat box? I seem to have lost you. I don't know why, but I did try to unmute you. So I sincerely apologize to you that I could not get your question. So name the effects of corruption. So you're going to tell me what effects corruption has on the country and on communities, on individuals. So that would be it for the lesson. So anybody else want to say something? Because we're done with the lesson. Any comments? Are we all good? Any comments? You can go to the chat box or you can speak to me. All right. I think everyone is okay. So thank you very much for joining me for the lesson. You will come and join me tomorrow, which is on Thursday. And you can go to Africa Teen Geeks, the website, and sign up for our newsletter so that you can get all the information that you need to get with regards to your classes, the timetable, and the links for the classes which have changed. So I know because you're in class, you have the new links, but you can go sign up for the newsletter to get the links, and please share the link with other learners. And then on social media platforms, it is at Africa Teen Geeks, and that is where you can get also the information that you need. So thank you very much. Thank you for joining me, and goodbye.